Hello Libra, thank you very much for tuning into your general read. For the main read, I'm using the Modern Spellcaster's Tarot by Melanie Marquis and illustrated by Scott Murphy. And for the supportive cards, the Magical Unicorn Oracle cards by Doreen Virtue, PhD. Little gold stuff going on. Anyway, moving on. Alright Libra, what do we got going on here? Alright, all your cards are right set up. Woo! I've had three of the zodiac signs. I think it was Gemini, Taurus, and Capricorn that had face down cards, which were secrets, but I don't see that with you, so that's great. But when I was starting today's reads, I had a couple cards that kept falling out, and now I'm seeing they're popping up in your reading, so let's see where we're going from this, because I feel like yours might be quite involved. Your overall energy, King of Wands with the Star card. You're making things happen. Now, I do want to say, for this deck, you'll notice there's a bird in the King of Wands. Where's that bird? There's a couple birds. They're up above his head in the tree. It seems to me like in this deck, they put wands as air. I'm used to wands being fire. I'm used to swords being air, kind of like you can kill with the sword, like a word, you know, whatever. But the wands usually, because you can start the wands on fire, that's why I think of them as fire. Just saying that, just in case you're wondering why I go down a couple confusing roads here, because I am getting that there is some action, but it's definitely verbal. A lot of verbal, especially maybe because you're Libra, of course, very much an air sign, but we are in Leo, I believe, when you're watching this. Although it is valid at other times of the year, so if you're watching this in December, don't worry about that, doesn't matter. But still, the point is, there's a lot of talking that's creating action, or you seem to be in action while you're talking. You're making things happen, and you're kind of, what do you call it, working your way through it at the same time. So there's talking and actual action at the same time, and you're very hopeful about this. You're feeling like things are balancing out and things are working out the way you want them to. I feel like you're being inspired during this time to move things in a good direction, and you seem to be going well. Now, as we go into this, you have the Page of Cups, and I feel like for you, especially with the scene on this card, you're getting along with whoever it is or whomever it is. I feel like somebody you don't usually get along with, you are getting along with. I feel like that's what we're saying with this card. I feel like somebody you usually don't, and maybe more than one person, that you don't usually see eye to eye with, or seems to be a little abrasive, or makes you a little nervous, seems to be smooth sailing at the moment as you're going into this time. Seems to be fine. That being said, this is somebody who you usually don't get along with, and you're about to hit the tower, which is an upset. It's usually uncomfortable, but it is also usually very beneficial. It's just a rough thing. It's kind of like when you have, I don't know why I'm going to use this, but if you burned yourself, like a second-degree burn on your arm, and then they have to clean it out, it's like the cleaning out is the tower. Like, it's horrible, it hurts, you hate it, you don't like it, you wish it didn't happen, but you have to handle it, it has to be done. Once it's cleaned out and it starts healing, from then on, it just gets better. You know, you put some numbing agent on it, you deal with it as you have to, but it heals. And because you cleaned it out, it heals correctly. I feel like that's what we're saying here with this. A situation or people that you usually don't get along with, you've been getting along with, but, you know, I don't feel it's a shock. Like, something happens, things go a little crazy. Now, I feel like the reason is they seem to be changing direction on you, and that's what's causing this tower thing to happen. Like, they're deciding to make it an issue. Like, they're bringing it forward. Whatever's going on, the other side, is that what's, no? Okay, what do we say? Let me hold up here. All right, they were saying something different. Circumstances have changed. Circumstances have changed, and how the other person is deciding to handle it, that's what's causing this. Okay, so circumstances have changed, and how the other person is handling it, or other people, if it's more than one, That's what's causing this, how they're deciding to handle the change. Something was a little different. Something changed, or something went a little different than it had been. I feel like you'll know what this means when this happens, if it hasn't already. But you thought, I feel like you're looking at it in a different way. You expected a smoother transition, or no, I'm not thinking you saw this change coming either. I'm feeling for the most of you, you didn't see this change coming, and it has to do with this change and how the other person or people are handling it. That seems to be the Tower. It's all that together. The change itself, but how these other people are handling it. It's all together. Yes. Okay. You're getting some advice here to just breathe, because it's not going to be that big of an issue. I feel like it's not that bad. I feel like you're nervous because of how they're handling it and the situation by itself. I feel like the situation's happening, and the other side has to decide how they're handling it, and you're nervous because you're like, this could be conflict. This could be putting us back at square one, how we used to get along. We've been getting along really well up to now, and now this is happening. This could throw us back, seriously back. So I feel that's the concern here. Are we good? Okay. So let me just recap real quick, just to make sure we're all on the same page. Somebody or a couple people you haven't gotten along with in the past, currently you are. Something goes a little wonky. There's a change, definite change, and the change makes you nervous because you know the other side has to decide how they're going to handle that, and you're kind of on pins and needles wondering how this is going to go because it's gone bad in the past. But they're saying your advice is to just relax, wait it out, it's going to be okay. I don't see a big conflict here, and I really don't. So it looks like it's going to go fine, because I feel like on the other side they're also enjoying this moment of peace, because you seem to be getting along and they're honoring that in some sense. They seem to be also feeling like it's better to get along than not. So I feel like you're kind of on the same wavelength in that sense. Like if they can go forward honestly but peacefully, they're going to go for that. Okay, so I feel like that's what you need to know here. Like the Tower, I feel like can just be like the emotional upset because you're worried about where it's going to go, but it might not be like a knockdown, drag-out fight. It doesn't have to be. And I feel like that's what you're worried about. So emotionally, I feel like it's all emotional with the Tower for you in this case. Which, yay, that's not so bad. But the change itself is like putting you in this mindset. Now, going forward, I'm seeing the next one is the Six of Cups. This is you aware of how it was in the past. This is also them aware of how it was in the past. This is between you and this other party that you didn't used to get along with. You seem to be on the same wavelength again. You don't want it to go back to that. Neither of you do. I don't feel like either of you want it to go back to what it was. The other side feels a little restricted because of it. Now, this could cause problems going forward, because it feels like this energy could be like a wind-up toy. The more it winds, or like a watch, if you overwind it, it's gonna ping, it's gonna boing out. It's gonna be bad. So this is kind of the wind-up, the possible wind-up, because they're feeling the same way. They don't want this to be what it was before, so they're feeling restricted. They're feeling kind of like held down. They're trying to keep their mouth shut. I feel like even at this point, they would normally say something, but because they see where it was, they see where it is. They don't want to backtrack. They don't want it to be what it was before. They're doing what they can to hold it together. They're continuing this energy going forward is what I'm getting from this card. The Four of Pentacles, they're holding it down. They're holding themselves together. Now, all right. Between the two of you, you do have the Five of Swords. But if you look at the card here, that's somebody that's more on the defending than on the fighting. They're like warding off the wolves there, if you will. You're also seeing there's a couple swords on the ground next to the fire. So this is very disarming, protective, standing guard type feel to me. This makes me feel, especially from the other side, they're trying to defend their beliefs without causing a fight. They are trying to, and I feel like you're seeing this. They're trying to work with you, but there's certain things they won't bend on, and I feel like you're aware of this. I feel like when you're coming into this, you're like, I got this. I know where this is going. I know what they want. I know what has to be done to keep the peace. If they work with me, I think this is going to be fine. And I feel like there's like an excitement rushing in with you. Like you're getting kind of excited because you're like, I can do this. I can do this. We don't usually get along, or at least we haven't in the past, but I think I know how to handle this time, where they get what they want, I get what I want, and nobody has to get upset about it. It can all be fine. And I feel like you're getting really excited because you're seeing this doorway. Like in your mind, you're seeing how this can work out. And you're excited about it. Because you're like, we're going to get around this conflict. This is going to be all right. We're doing a lot better than we have in the past. And I think this is going to work out. You're simplifying it as much as possible too. If you're not, this is the advice. Simplify it. Make it as layman terms as you can without it being insulting. Without it being insulting, of course. And I think you know what I mean by that. Whoever you're talking to, you don't want to talk to them like they're a flat-out idiot. You don't want to do that, of course. But you want to make sure you don't make anything fancy. You don't use any... you don't want to make it look more than it is. You're going to keep it very simple, direct as much as possible. You're not going to fluff it up at all. And I feel like you're aware of this. Again, I'm getting that excited energy. You're like, I know how to do this. I think I can do this great. I know how to do this. I'm going to get in there. I'm sure this is going to work out. Because you're seeing this. I feel like this whole scene, like this feeling as you're going into it, you're aware of this. You've done this before. You've seen how this has started before. But you're excited because you're like, I know how to handle this. I know how to do this. I can do this. This can be okay. And the advice, if you weren't already thinking it, the advice is to keep it. Don't fluff it up. Don't make it more than it has to be. Layman's terms as much as possible without being insulting, which I'm sure you know what that means. And it seems like that's how you get here. The Sun card, which is, it's one of the best cards to get, in my opinion, because it's just the happy day, everybody getting along. I feel like the stress is released from the other side because it's building. It is building there. Until this point, it is building. You handle it well. I feel like you've learned from the past on how to deal with this situation, how to deal with this type of person. Like, this seems to be very valuable to you, not only how to handle this person or people, but it's going to help you in the future. Like, this is extremely, extremely good for you. And it's working out for them extremely well. I almost feel like this is like a diplomatic learning lesson for you of like how far you've come and how strong you are now and how much you've learned along the way. I'm feeling this is great for both sides because it seems like you disarm the whole situation. You calm the fears. You help them get as much of what they can as possible, and you don't fluff it up. I don't feel like that's an issue because I feel like you're aware of that. You gotta be careful of that, and I feel like you're aware of it. Seems like you discern the whole thing. You're honest. You're like, this is what I can do. This is what I'll look into. Like, if it has to go there, that's what you'll tell them. I feel like that's how it's gonna come. This is what I can do, and I'm very confident about doing this. These other things are not completely in my control, but I will follow up on them. And you like, I'm seeing like people even writing a list down. Like, I've got that. I got that. It's on my list. But you're very honest. Like, this is something I have to go through 3 or 4 other people. It will not be easy. It could be months, if not longer. And I feel like you're very honest, but it's working. You're just honest and out there. You're calming the whole situation. I feel like you're calming the fire. You're squelching the whole fire. And it feels like this whole energy on the other side is very pleased. Very pleased. They feel like the situation is calm. They also feel like you've grown in like how you guys deal with each other. They feel more confident with you. They feel like you're listening to them. They feel like whatever's gone wrong in the past, it's not the same now. I feel like they're looking at you differently. Like, they're treating you as if you've changed. And you've learned. I don't know if you've changed, but you've learned and you know how to handle things better with this group of people. But it's almost like dealing with a whole new person for them. They're very happy, whoever this person is. Are we good? All right. So this is working out. This is going to your benefit. And I feel like I'm starting to talk it to death, so I'm actually going to calm that down and let it go because it feels like this is going exactly where it should be. So I'm going to wrap it up. Of course, if you would like a direct reading from me, go ahead and shoot me an email, jamesforastral@gmail.com, and I'll give you my rates. That's James, the number 4, astral@gmail.com. Thank you.